Assalamualaikum students. Before going to our educational topic, please subscribe my channel Muntazir Mehdi Science TV on YouTube. Press the like button and share this lecture to your friends and classmates who have no access to it to add in their science education. And those students that are preparing privately can benefit from our channel very effectively. Let's come back to our topic, that is protein. Dear students, protein topic is very complicated and important as we have heard this word in different topics. So now I will start proteins topic for understanding you. As students, it is a very lengthy topic, so I can't prepare this topic in a single video lecture. Therefore I shall divide this topic into different parts according to the topics required related to the proteins. So I shall prepare different parts for the protein topic. This is the first part for the protein. Dear students, starting this lecture by the history of the protein. That what is the history of the protein? How and why was this compound assigned the protein name? And why that compound was protein? Answer is that, dear students, this word has been derived from the Greek word proteos, and proteos means something very special, very important, something which holds, students, the first place. So holding the first place and possessing the very much importance, students, this compound was assigned this name protein because protein is an organic compound and is also among those organic compounds which contribute very important role, very crucial role in humans as well as in every living body of the universe. Students, as the proteins are playing the major role, very important role in every living organisms of the world. So these are also named to have a prime importance, great importance. So proteins provide great benefits. Next, later on, some scientists, students had told that the proteins have higher molecular weight and these are also among the abundant compounds of the earth. That's why, students, these are called the proteins and come at the first place and possess very much importance. Next, students, we come towards the definition of the proteins. So after carbohydrates and lipids topic from biomolecules chapter, now we put our consideration to the definition of the proteins. What is protein or what are proteins? Dear students, protein or proteins are biological molecules as carbohydrates and lipids was also biological molecules. Likewise, proteins are also biological molecules. This is the first thing that you must understand, that protein is a biological living molecule that is present in almost all the living organisms and in all the organelles of a cell. Students, it plays very important role. That role we will learn later. So after biological molecules, students, first we see the chemical composition of the protein. That proteins are always contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen like carbohydrates and lipids. But students, in the chemical composition of the protein, nitrogen is also present as a crucial atom, as a basic atom. So sometimes, students, along with carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen, sometimes sulfur molecule, sulfur atom is also present. Now students, we come towards the definition of the protein. Students, the definition of the protein is as the polymers of the repeating units which are called amino acids that are linked together with the help of the peptide bonds are called protein. Students, in this definition, three important points are required to understand, which are here. What is meant by the polymer? What are the amino acids? And what is a peptide bond? Students, if you are understood the answers of all of these three questions, then you will easily describe the protein concept in your own words. At first number, students, what is an amino acid? Dear students, an amino acid is actually a molecule in which one carbon atom is present in the center. Students, to this carbon, two functional groups are attached. Which are that functional groups? Let's see. The name of the first functional group is carboxylic group, that is also written COOH. So this is our carboxylic group that is attached here. Furthermore, students, a second functional group is also attached here to this central carbon, that is NH2. The name of this NH2 is amino group. So NH2 is our amino group. Now students, this is our carboxylic group and this is our amino group. Now, here is a question that what is the name of this carbon? Students, either this carbon has a name or not. Yes, students, yes. This central carbon also has a name. Its name is alpha carbon. Which carbon? Alpha carbon. Dear students, what is alpha carbon and why we call this carbon as alpha carbon? Actually, students, in organic chemistry, in a compound, many carbons, more than 3, more than 4, many carbons are present. So, after functional group, the first carbon, this one carbon is called alpha carbon. After alpha carbon, the next carbon is beta carbon, and next carbon is gamma carbon, and next also so on. So this is the answer of that what is alpha carbon. Next students, in addition to these two groups, alpha carbon also has two other groups. What are these? Let's study. Here students, one hydrogen is attached. Next, here at the fourth number, a variable group. Students, a variable group is associated, that is called R. What is R? Students, R is a variable group that is written here at the fourth number. Now students, why we call that this is a variable group? Its answer is that it can be any number. It can be any number. Students, it can be a hydrogen or it can be a methyl group. Students, this R can also be a benzene ring or a phenol. That's why this R is a variable group, because students, it has many groups. So here R is written to show different groups as compared to all these groups, because students, in any amino acid, both of these groups along with this hydrogen must present, but the fourth group will be variable, different. Students, due to this different group R, due to this variable group R, one amino acid can vary from the other amino acid. So all the amino acids are same by having these three groups. But students, all the amino acids are different, vary by possessing this R group, variable group. This is the very important knowledge about amino acids. Students, do you know that in the human body 20 different amino acids are present that are not the same but are different? Every amino acid has its specific molecular formula, structural formula, and name. All the 20 different amino acids have a carboxylic group, an amino group, and a hydrogen, semi. All these three groups are semi. But now here, students, here is a question that why does an amino acid differ from any other amino acid? How? If all the three groups of all the 20 amino acids are same, then students, how does an amino acid differ from any other amino acid? How? The answer of this how is that due to the presence of this R. So every amino acid is different from the any other amino acid due to the presence of this variable group R. Suppose students, if we have two amino acids, first and second, then this amino acid has with the alpha carbon a carboxylic group, an amino group and a hydrogen. Second amino acid also has the same three groups, carboxyl group, amino group and a hydrogen. Now students, both of the amino acids are same. But students, but in the place of R, if we put only hydrogen, if we write here only hydrogen, then this will be become a very simple amino acid whose of name is glycine. Next, at the second number, students, if we write only a methyl group CH3 here in the place of R, then this form will be changed into an amino acid whose of name will be alanine. So glycine is an amino acid and alanine is also an amino acid. Students, both are different from one another due to the presence of variable groups R. Likewise, students, all the other 18 amino acids are also different due to the presence of this R. So this is the concept about amino acid, that an amino acid consists of a carboxylic group, an amino group, a hydrogen that is attached here and a variable group R that is present here. Now students, if we represent this whole amino acid by this form, by this circle, then suppose it is first amino acid, it is second, third, fourth, fifth, and similarly many amino acids are there in a molecule. Students, when many amino acids are present in a molecule, that amino acids would not be separated but would be joined, would be linked. By which thing? Yes, students, by which thing? One amino acid is joined with the other amino acid by which thing? Guess, students, try to guess. Yes, you are right. With the help of a bond. Students, so a bond can link one amino acid with any other amino acid. So first amino acid is linked to the second amino acid with the help of a bond. Second with the third, third with the fourth, and similarly so on. Many amino acids are joined, are linked in a large chain, in a long chain. Students, this large and long chain is named as a protein. So in a protein, one amino acid is joined with any other amino acid with the help of a bond. Students, what is the name of a bond that is present in between the two amino acids? Like a glycosidic bond was present when we had joined the glucose with another glucose molecule in the case of oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Students, ester bond was present in the case of lipids. Likewise, students, likewise, a bond is also present when we join one amino acid with any other amino acid whose of name is peptide bond. Students, which bond? Peptide bond. This represents the definition of the peptide bond. That what is the peptide bond? Students, you may write the specific bond which is present, formed in between the two amino acids. So that bond which is present in between the two amino acids is called a peptide bond. This is a peptide bond, this is a peptide bond, and this is also a peptide bond. So students, peptide bond will be present in between all the amino acids. So when smaller units combine with one another, then these will form a large unit, big unit. Suppose this is an amino acid, so this is a smaller unit. This is also an amino acid, so this is also a smaller unit. Students, all these are amino acids, so all these are smaller units, because the amino acids are the building blocks of the proteins. So when a large number of the amino acids, smaller units, combine with one another, then these will prepare a large unit, a long chain, another unit, whose of name is polymer. Students, poly means many, mer unit. So when many units, a large number of units, link together to form a long chain to form a large unit, then these smaller amino acids join to form a big unit, that is called a polymer. Students, this polymer is actually our protein. Students, polymer is a general word. That's why this word can also be used for the carbohydrates topic in polysaccharide. Now this word can also be used for the protein topic, because this is a general term that we apply for different things. But students, by using this term, it must be present in the mind that a polymer is a long molecule, is a big molecule in which smaller units have linked together, joined together. You can also take a smaller unit as a monomer. A monomer is a single unit. Which unit? Single unit. Students, in the topic of the carbohydrates, glucose is a monomer, fructose and galactose are also monomers. But in the topic of the protein, an amino acid is a monomer, and that amino acids are also the building blocks of the protein. That's why students, in the definition of the protein, this is said that the protein is a polymer that is made up of the repeating units called amino acids. So students, till here to this time, I hope you have clear your concept about the definition of the protein along with amino acids, peptide bond, polymer and monomer terms. Students, next we will study how the amino acids are linked together, or how is a peptide bond formed in between the two amino acids. That is a very important question to understand. So next we will study about the linkage of the amino acids. For the linkage of the amino acids, students, we take the two amino acids. This is first and this is the second amino acid. Now what will happen? Students, for the combination of the two amino acids, the carboxylic group of the one amino acid and the amine group NH2 of the second amino acid will be taken and react with each other. During this reaction, the hydroxyl group from this carboxylic group will be utilized, and from this NH2 amino group only one hydrogen will be utilized. So we can say that the hydroxyl group of the carboxylic group and the hydrogen of the amino group will participate in the bond formation, peptide bond formation. So students, for the peptide bond formation, we will write carboxylic group as C double bond O OH. Amino group will be written as nitrogen single bond hydrogen single bond hydrogen. Now students, we have written this carboxylic group and this amino group openly. Now which reaction will occur? Students, now the hydroxyl group from here, from the carboxylic group of one amino acid, and the hydrogen from here, from the amino group of the second amino acid, will combine and remove outside. Students, as we know that the combination of the hydroxyl group and hydrogen ion will form a water molecule H2O. Now this is a water molecule that has been formed by the joining of the hydroxyl group and hydrogen ion. Students, you can also watch yourself that the hydroxyl group and the hydrogen ion have been removed outside. So now this carbon that previously had 4 bonds now has 3 bonds only, and this nitrogen that previously had 3 bonds now has only 2 bonds. So by the deficiency of the 1 bonds, both carbon and nitrogen will form a bond with each other, that is called a peptide bond. So students, consequently, one amino acid having amino group alpha carbon, one hydrogen here and another hydrogen is present here along with a C double bond O carbonyl group joins with another amino acid having nitrogen along with one hydrogen only. Next, alpha carbon with one hydrogen and one methyl group, and finally a carboxylic group is attached here. One amino acid has been deprived of hydroxyl group and the second amino acid has been deprived of a hydrogen ion. So here in between the carbon and the nitrogen, a bond has formed that is called a peptide bond. And students, this is called the carbon and nitrogen, namely CN linkage. Dear students, now we have seen that in between the two amino acids, a peptide bond comes. Next, to attach the third amino acid, that third amino acid will come from here. That third amino acid, students, will react with this carboxylic group, and by the removal of hydroxyl group and hydrogen ion, these will form the next peptide bond. Dear students, it can also be happen that the third amino acid will come from this side, or this amino group will react with the carboxylic group of the third incoming amino acid. Namely, this chain can be longed from left side, or this chain can also be moved further towards right side. Therefore, students, we will get a long chain of many amino acids. Students, in the binding of the amino acids, when only two amino acids combine, then these two amino acids are called dipeptide. Some students make a mistake in the understanding of this word dipeptide. Students, they consider that dipeptide means two peptide bonds, but not. It is not true, but it is wrong, not so. Dipeptide means when two amino acids are combined with the help of only only one peptide bond. So in the case of the dipeptide, two amino acids but only one peptide bond. Next, when three amino acids, 1 to 3 amino acids combine, then this structure will be assigned the tripeptide name. But when many students, when many, more than 50, 100, 500, 1000, more than 2000, so when a large number of amino acids are combined, then this structure will be named as polypeptide. So in dipeptide only two amino acids, in tripeptide three amino acids, but students, in polypeptide many amino acids are linked together. Dear students, a polypeptide chain is the initial form of a protein that is formed with the help of RNAs, including all the three types of RNAs like ribosomal RNA, messenger RNA, and transfer RNA at the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Because students, mostly the ribosomes that are the factories of the protein synthesis are associated with the rough endoplasmic reticulum and synthesize protein here. Then the synthesized polypeptide chains are sent to the Golgi apparatus, where these polypeptide chains are highly organized and modified, and then students are packed into Golgi vesicles or Golgi bodies, and finally are transported to the different organelles inside or outside of the cell, where students that proteins are required. So consequently we can say that a protein is a very and highly organized form of a polypeptide chain. Students, the synthesis of the protein by the name of translation process you can also watch at this your channel Muntazir Mehdi Science TV by searching it at YouTube. Next, students, we see the importance of the protein, that in which sites and in which forms proteins are present. Let's study that what is the importance of the protein. Dear students, proteins have great importance that I can't mention it in a small part of a video lecture because it requires very much time. So students, I shall describe only some most important points about the importance of the protein. At the first point, students, the structural importance of the protein will be discussed. That many proteins are involved in the formation of the structure of the cell as well as in the structure of the animals including humans. For example, the active transport protein of the cell membrane, which forms the cell membrane structure. Suppose it is our cell that is surrounded by a cell membrane. Students, this cell membrane has some channels that are protein channels because those channels are made up of proteins. Students, with the help of those channels, the materials are transported inside or outside of the cells. So, protein channels are also helpful in the transportation of the materials inside and outside of the cell. Next, students, in the receptors, proteins are also present. Students, receptors are attached at the cell surface, at the cell membrane. Some receptors are made up of glycoproteins, but some are made up of proteins. Students, these receptors are present on the cell surface that are utilized for the identification of any substance that come into contact with the cell, like hormone, drugs, or any other chemical. Students, which come close to the cell, then firstly these attach with the receptors, then receptors after the attachment of that particular substance send a signal towards the cell. So when receptors completely recognize a particular molecule, then these allow it to enter into the cell. If students that molecule is harmful, then it will be inhibited from entering into the cell. But if that substance is useful for the cell, then it will be entered. So receptors help to receive the signals from the incoming substance. Then they enter signals to the cells, transfer signals to the cells. In this way, receptors help to communicate between the cells, and these are the source of communication between the different cells. Students, almost all the eukaryotic cell organelles contain proteins. Likewise, in human and animals, hair, nail, and students, the skin, all the three contains the different types of proteins. Your hair, nail, and skin also have proteins in variable amount. All these are not entirely made up of proteins, but students, protein is a fundamental component of these structures. At the second number, students, enzymes and hormones. About enzymes, students, I have prepared a full chapter that enzymes are proteins, globular proteins that are involved in the breakdown and in the formation of the different compounds. So students, enzymes are very excellent proteins and are catalytic proteins that are involved in the synthesis of the energy and play very important role in our bodies. Which role, students? Which role? Answer is that the enzymes can catalyze a chemical reaction, speed up a chemical reaction. So enzymes that are namely made up of proteins are catalytic proteins. Next, hormones. Students, hormones are involved in coordinating the different activities of a body. Some hormones are protein, but some are not. But the examples of protein hormone is insulin. Next, at the third number, students, a very special type of protein is present in animals and in human body that play the defense role. What is mean by the defense? Protection, defend against attack, prevent from the germs. So students, many proteins are present in our bodies which play the protection role. Which are those substances, those proteins? Students, antibodies. Those proteins are called antibodies. Students, antibodies protect our bodies from germs, harmful bacteria, pathogens that are disease causing organisms, and from viruses. So, what are antibodies? These are the defense proteins. Which proteins? Defense proteins, and protect our bodies from different types of germs. Next, students, we study the transport proteins, which include the respiratory pigments. Now you are thinking that what are the respiratory pigments? Students, don't confuse. I will tell you that respiratory pigments are also proteins whose of name is hemoglobin. What is the function of the hemoglobin protein? Students, its function is to carry the oxygen from the lungs and enter into the red blood cells. So hemoglobin transports the oxygen from one side of the body towards the other. Consequently, students, hemoglobin is a very prominent protein and respiratory pigment which transports oxygen from the lungs into the body cells and tissues. Students, some specific type of proteins called fibrinogens are involved in blood clotting. What is meant by blood clotting? After injury, students, when there happens some bleeding, then after some time, after some bleeding, there happens a thick blood material at the injury place. After some bleeding, there begins to accumulate some blood piece, blood material, that is called blood clot. Students, that blood clot prevents the loss of blood from the injury, from the body after injury. Next, some proteins like actin and myosin are involved in the movement of the organs and the organisms. So these actin and myosin proteins are present in different organisms and in all the organelles of the cells that are involved in the movement of those organs. Likewise, some proteins like tubulins are also involved in the movement of the chromosomes. Students, as we know that the movement of the chromosomes happens during the anaphase of the cell division. So this movement of the chromosome during cell division happens due to the tubulin proteins that are also actually proteins. Students, some proteins like histones are also involved in the chromosomes formation. These histone proteins are present in the nucleus and are involved in the chromosome formation. Dear students, with respect to the energy point of view, it is an interesting knowledge for you that first of all, an organism's body gets energy from the carbohydrates, but when the carbohydrate supply is finished, then the body gets energy from the lipids, fats. But when fat supply is also finished, then the body gets energy from the protein. So at the end, the protein reservoir will be consumed from the body. Students, the purpose of telling you this whole of the description is that the body can also get energy from the protein, but usually anybody can never obtain energy from the protein. So students, it is our first part, but in second part we will discuss some more concepts about protein and amino acids like chiral molecule, chiral center, asymmetric carbon, and some properties of the chiral center will also be studied like optical activity. So till here our first part of the protein has been completed. At the end, I want to advise you that you are the future of your country. So fulfill your responsibility and continue your education with proper consideration and overzeal so that you will serve your country in future. Lastly, students, many thanks for watching this your video.